Everybody, educator, call is clear. Excellence for all, knowledge we share. Brilliance on a Monday, our purpose and mission. Spotlight success, grit and ambition. Platform for all, visionaries too. Share your journey, dreams see it through. Mindset and politics, culture, our tool. Everybody educate thriving schools. Our vision, educators lead the way. Learning from the best, inspire each day. Listen, y'all, we are hosting Brilliance on a Monday, and I'm trying out a little jingle. Y'all give me some feedback. Go and tell people that we are live. Let's go. I'm going to continue my little rhyme. Here we go. Our vision educators lead the way. Learning from the best, inspire each day. Reach out to all, impact everyone. Growth and success, our work's not done. Relevant always, our message rings loud. Practice our methods, excellence a vow. Win-win for our audience awaits. Invest the cause. Open the gate. Listen, guys, I like to have fun. I love to sing. I love to just do me and be the best that I can be so that we are authentic and all of that. And so we are hosting Brilliance on a Monday. It's Monday, guys. I know it's Memorial Day, and I know that you are having some good time with your family. But let me tell you something. You don't want to miss this episode. This episode is going to be amazing. So listen, you hear me. I started to do a little bit of a jingle. I'm playing with some stuff here. And it's so fitting because my guest today is phenomenal. Okay. I met him one time and just seen the brilliance inside of him. And we host brilliance here. People who are walking in their brilliance, who want to walk in their brilliance, who want to change things in our education system. So listen, share this out. Tell your friends. Let's go chat, talk to us. Listen, we are talking about harmony in the classroom today, and we are here with none other than Aaron Taylor, guys. Give it up for Aaron Taylor. Woo! He is an education. He's in education, right? But he's a music educator. And y'all know I love to sing. I love music and arts and all of that great stuff. But the way that he works with children, such culturally relevant ways, at Perry High School, Pittsburgh Public Schools, oh, it is amazing. I hear wonderful things about him. And when I met him, I said, yeah, he's the real deal. So I need you all to share this out. If you're watching this on the replay, say hashtag replay. And don't forget, I'm going to sing a little bit more in my jingle at the end because listen, y'all, let's get musically inclined, get in harmony today. But I want you all to say hello to the music, audio, tech, film, marching band, instrumentalist. He's got it all. He's got it all. So I'm going to bring him to the stage and please say hello to the people, Aaron.
Hello, hello. Oh my gosh, that was an amazing introduction. I wish I had a piano. I was jamming backstage. I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Robin, for the amazing introduction. Thank you for the time to be on your platform and just, wow, your kind words just, that just, oh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here. So grateful.
Absolutely. You do so many things and I love it. But I want you to just tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? And where do you come from? Why are you here?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Always got to represent the 412. Currently, I work at Perry High School on the north side of Pittsburgh with Pittsburgh Public Schools. I'm proud to say that I am a Pittsburgh Public School graduate. Graduated back in 2012. Now, it took me some time. What is it, 10, 11 years later? Now I'm finally back in the district, but in a new way. Love every second of it. Shout out to all the students and faculty and staff at Perry High School. Each day I find a new reason to continue to teach and continue to be inspired. Outside of teaching, I have a podcast called A Black Educator's Truth, currently in season 4. What that has helped me do is just, it really has just helped me find new ways to professionally develop myself, like outside of the classroom, finding different topics and also finding different spaces to invite people into. I know, Robin, that's where we met, and we have our episode. You all can totally check that out. Season 4 is officially out now.
Yes.
So there's that. And then outside of like music and just podcasting, I have done some advocacy work for Teach Plus, which advocate for students in underprivileged districts throughout the state of Pennsylvania. I did that for 2 years, and then in my time, I like to travel. I like to just DJ for fun, and I just like to enjoy the company of my friends to make sure that while I'm resting on the weekends, I'm also recharging for the next week. So it's been a true honor and a true pleasure just being a teacher for the last, what is 5 years. And I've taught at 3 different districts. I've taught at the Erie Public School. Shout out to them for giving me my start. And
Okay.
then I was at the Cartwright School District out in Phoenix, Arizona, and now I'm back home. So it's just funny how education, there's not one pathway, but you just got to take that first step and just make sure you bring someone with you along the journey. So it's been truly an honor, truly a pleasure being a teacher these past couple of years.
Shout out to all the educators out there. Thank you so much, Aaron, for that, because sometimes people are leaving and they don't want to be educators anymore. This is a rough time, but I appreciate the bright light that you bring to the table where it's like, look, you can recreate that mindset, shift those narratives, and teachers are amazing. Thank you for your work as an educator. Thank you for your like your willingness to work and just be dope in the midst of craziness in our education system. It's no secret that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Especially being in Pennsylvania. I heard you say you are part of Teach. You've been a part of Teach Plus, and all month long we've been doing a social media campaign. So you guys heard Aaron mention his show, which is absolutely amazing, and it's called Black. Say it again.
It's called A Black Educator's Truth.
I need you all to go and look it up. You can go. It's available what on all the places. Go ahead and tell them
Yeah,
again.
so it's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, wherever you can find podcasts. The podcast is definitely available. And for each person that tunes in, truly appreciates it. Just remember to like and share and subscribe because we're in the midst and start of season number 4.
Yes, I need you all to go ahead and do that. And as you mentioned earlier, we just had that a conversation about cultural relevance and race and in the schools and the cultural being culturally competent. So all month long, we've been working with Teach Plus. On pushing a lot of these laws. So if you guys don't know what Teach Plus is, it is an opportunity where teachers come in and they help us continue to be leaders and use our voices outside the classroom. You can even say more. This is my first year being in Teach Plus, and it was just phenomenal. I was able to go and advocate for teachers and advocate for our students and our teachers of color specifically has been my focus this year. But is there anything else you want to say about Teach Plus?
I honestly would say that Teach Plus was and still is an organization that truly helped me learn how to utilize my voice as a teacher. I look back at some of my favorite moments, and I remember it was around last year around this time. Teach Plus, we took some members of the PA advisory board, and we went to Harrisburg. And I just remember being in the Capitol and sitting and meeting with different senators and representatives. And I'm looking around, in the Capitol. I'm like, I'm a teacher speaking up for my students.
Wow.
And it's just moments like that really allow you to sit in and see like, all right, you have more power than just what is quote unquote supposed to be taught by a curriculum. It's like you have your students' voices, you have your students' stories, and you get to utilize the information resource that you have as a teacher to help elevate your schools. And I look back and I'm really grateful for all of the connections that I made through Teach Plus, and as well as all of the advocacy strategies that they taught me along the way, and I still use them to this day. It's been a really great way to help continually move the light forward into some dark spaces.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And guys, we have a whole campaign going on where we're really trying to advocate for better conditions and better laws. And I think that's the thing, Aaron. That I liked about Teach Plus, I was just like, I always was like, I don't want to be into politics. I hate politics. And I'm finding myself using my voice more, even on platforms like this, on your platform, on like it, and I feel free. I feel it's becoming more common and freeing. I never thought that I would like sit in front of and testify in front of lawmakers. And so, but that's what we're doing. And so I'm excited about that. I'm super excited about your journey. And I asked, And guys, I ask everybody every time that they're on here, what are the songs that are connecting with them and what moves you to action in the season? And one of the things that Aaron said was, it depends on the class. Sometimes it's the music that my students make. And so I forgot about that because I asked that a while ago. And I made this little song, AI Help Me. So I love that you were saying you were ready to sit there and play. So we're gonna get a jam session going on. We're gonna
Yes.
we're going to do that. Talk to me about where that passion comes from for you.
For me, like it's just knowing that well, number one, I'm a teacher because another teacher, saw me as one. I remember being at Kappa High School in 11th grade, and my private lesson instructor, Mr. Carl Jackson, he was just like, you like to help people. Have you ever thought about becoming a teacher yourself? And at the time, like, I didn't know if college was going to be an option just because of financial obligations. But luckily that year, and when I was in 11th grade, the Pittsburgh Promise came out, and that allowed me to go to college as well as I just remember just even at a young age just wanting to help people, and with my love of music and the love of helping people, I just wanted to combine those two. And then after college, I just remember just getting my doing student teaching while working on my master's, and I just had so much joy just waking up and knowing that like I don't have it's not a job, it's not a career, it's not just a career, it's not just this 9 to 5. I get to wake up and I get to go to a place where like my sole goal is to help people, but I get to do that with music. And I'm a strong believer that music is the key to open up many doors to other conversations. I've taught in and including my student teaching experience in rural, suburban, and inner city and outer city environments, and I find that all of my students, we were able to connect through some type of form of music. And I just want to give a special shout out to the students at Perry because the music scene over at that school is absolutely amazing. You have some up and coming artists that are making high quality music videos, and I look back and I, when I want think about helping people, it's all about giving them the right resources. And this past year, I was able to take a group of students over to Carnegie Mellon, and we got to just spend some time in the music studio and record. And as I was sitting in that studio watching my students, do their thing, rap, I was sitting, be able to sit back and listen and watch. I'm like, yeah, this is what it's about. So just having moments where we can provide our students, especially our students of color, spaces to utilize and excel in their talents. And why I stay, there's so many reasons why I stay. It's everything from my students to wanting to see more about how education as a whole, how it works and what needs to be fixed in it, and as well as just continuing to find each week, sometimes even every day, students, they just find ways to inspire me. They teach me, and sometimes too, the lessons that I teach them, they also teach me in so many different ways. So there's so many reasons why I stay, and I look forward to each day. And as our school year slowly comes to an end, I just hope that not just my students, but all students have a happy, safe summer. You all have made it through another year, and you should be proud to whatever grade you're moving on. Even if you're going from kindergarten to first grade, it's still an accomplishment. So there's so many reasons why I stay, and I'm grateful for all the time I spent in education.
Wow, that is so beautiful. You see, like just that purity, like of heart for this work, and I love that you do what you do, and you invest in our students. You even invest in your gift. So, do you sing and play? Like, what do you personally? Where do you have going on
Yeah.
that?
So for me, I'm more of an instrumentalist. I can play a number of different instruments, and I also have learned over the years to DJ. So I DJ weddings on the side now. Want to give a special shout out to my friend. His name is Sean. He's really helped me, and my friend Evan. They both have really helped me like learn how to DJ and navigate those spaces. So I do that more instrumental and audio tech, and it's been so much fun. Like just to learn how the tech side of the industry helps the instrumental side, and even utilizing both of those skills in the classroom as well as on my podcast. So instrumental and audio are definitely the ways that I go. I can teach people how to sing, but I choose to play more than anything else.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna definitely need you to play when I'm singing. But you know what I love? I love how you like seamlessly weave in all these beautiful your beautiful passion and all the parts of who you are into everything that you do. And I think that right there is what I believe makes a difference whenever you have little those little learners looking up to you, those young people looking up to you. They can see your passion, they can feel your passion. And sometimes when we go into the school systems, and I've learned that people are kind of like, this is a job, I just got to come in here, because people are burnt out.
Mm.
And when we find that harmony, we were talking about harmony in the classroom. If you're just tuning in, we are live with Aaron. I was about to say Dr. Aaron Taylor. That came to my spirit. Dr. Dr. Aaron A. Taylor, a music educator. I just think you're a doctor in this work of just seamlessly weaving in the beauty of and the essence of who you are, who your children are, and making like just joy come to life in the classroom. And you don't see that often. Like, how do you go about doing that for students? I mean, when I think about them, I'm really talking about every day you go into the classroom and you're bringing your whole self to the table. Talk to me about how that looks and works. Help our audience with that.
Yeah, so like how I like when I think about what I want to teach, my students, which is it's something that question is not something I take lightly, I think about number one, who are my students? What do they listen to?
Mm-hmm.
And how can I get them engaged based off of the things that they enjoy? So at Perry High School, at the start of each class, I play music. Sometimes it ranges from music on the radio, sometimes it might be classical music. Sometimes I mix in a combination of some kind of remix of classical, hip hop, and modern version. But then the best things I really enjoy, one of the things I really enjoy is like I play my students' music in the classroom. So I have a student. His rapper name is Twizzy Flock. I played his music in the classroom, and students would come up to him afterwards and just say, "Hey, Twizzy, did you know Mr. Taylor played your music?" And so Twizzy comes finds me, and I'm like, "Yeah, like I'm a fan of yours too." So really, just trying to show my students that like genuinely like I really like your music and I do want to share it and I want to help you any way I can. But then when it comes to the content, I would like to say the best part about being a music teacher is that we get to create our curriculum. And I always want to shape my curriculum based off of the interests of my students. So at the beginning of each year, depending on the type and grade level, I always ask my students, like, what kind of music do you like to listen to? Really start the first week or so with a lot of community building exercises. And then as I progress and I continue to build onto the curriculum, finding ways to weave in different topics. This past year, we have talked about in my audio tech class where I teach kids how to utilize GarageBand on our computers.
Mm.
We have made different types of music, so combining hip hop but also rock and roll, listening to the Beastie Boys and Run DMC from the 90s and the 80s, and trying to recreate not their music but their style. We even though go in as deeper as making sure that we utilize the musical terms in form. So we talk about binary form, which is two parts, trinary form, rondo form, and the same type of music form that they use for the radio. And I think that was a really good lesson looking back from my students because they were like, that makes sense why all the music kind of sounds the same. So I broke it down to them that way. And when it comes to the other classes I teach a film appreciation class, trying to find films that are reflective of what the students what they're interested in, making sure the movies are relevant because no one wants to sit in the classroom and watch an old film. So this past year we watched Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, and the conversations that we had about that movie were just number one, like I needed it, and number two, I got to learn so much more about my students, and we learned about just how to handle grief well as so many other things. And then my final point is I always like to remind myself in different times that what I had to go through to make it through college, as well as getting my master's and getting my teaching certification. And currently in the state of Pennsylvania, there are less than 7% teachers of color, and even then, so it's even smaller percentage of Black males. And so
Right.
I remind myself that I'm not just a teacher. I want to be a mentor to my students as well as my students. We've talked about everything from finances to becoming more financially literate, how college works, how to pick a major, to everything from what's going on in the music industry, the newest like fashion trends. And so try to let my students know that I'm not just your teacher, but I'm a person, and I'm also a person
Mm.
who understands the world that you live in. And I think too the fact that my that I have been teaching for 5 years allows me to get different perspectives to utilize in the classroom, as well as different strategies to make sure that my students know that they are seen, they are heard, and they feel safe, and they have someone that's here for them that wants to advocate for them in and out of the classroom. And so I'm always very open with the work that I do outside, because you never know, this might spark someone else to become a teacher as well.
Mm. Wow. So much richness. I just, it's so much richness because I started to think of, as you were talking, I was thinking about all of these strategies that you use in your classroom and how I can tell, like, it's just seamless. It is culturally responsive teaching. A lot of times we use this term and we kind of throw it around.
Hmm.
And everything that you said, it was relevant for you and your students. So if you're listening right now and you're an educator, or you're someone who is passionate about shifting the education system, you really take note. Like I heard you say, Aaron, that you take what they're interested in. You're not just like it's just this curriculum. I know you said earlier
Hmm.
that you can kind of write your own curriculum. And I know sometimes people are like, oh, I just got to follow this to the T. You still have standards, right? Aren't there art standards that you
Yes,
have to follow in
there
films?
are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think, and my question for asking that is like, I don't care what is in front of us to do. Our students are in front of us
Mhm.
first. And I feel like what I heard you say was that, I'm a fan of you too. You should be a fan of your students if you're teaching them, and if you want them to go in the right direction. When I say right, I mean, you want to steer them in a direction that's going to help them to thrive and that'll help others around them. You take those standards and you make it work with what they already are bringing to the table. That's what I was hearing you say. I'm
Mhm.
such an adamant, like what I do. I'm adamant about making sure people really understand that. So the way you broke that down was so powerful. Um, and I know when we were on your podcast and it stuck with me so much about how your students, you played your students music.
Mhm.
Like that's brilliant. The reason why your children are responsive and engaged in the work is because you are taking the time to make them be a part of the culture every day. You could still follow a curriculum and standards and do that. Say maybe one more thing about that because I just want to hit that home today.
Yeah, I think that like I can speak like specifically from the music perspective that I think that when we incorporate what our students are interested in, it gets them interested in going to that class. Like I'll never forget my first day at Perry. I had a lot of your first day at a new school. I even think for a teacher it can be a little bit. You get a little nervous. You don't really know what to expect, but the first day I just asked my students, I was like, well, what kind of music do you like to listen to? They're like, oh yeah, we like to listen to some of the artists were, Alicia Keys, Summer Walker, SZA, Polo G, Lil Baby, and I was like, yeah, I listened to that too, and they were just like, what?
What?
It was like, yeah, like I listened to that music too, and I think that was the first moment that they realized that like he is. He's a different type of music teacher. Like, well, yes, I do want you to learn the elements of music at a spectrum and know how to use different skills. But I also want you to know that number one, because hip hop was made here in America, specifically in the New York era, and it was made to talk about a lot of different topics, such as police brutality, such as different environmental issues within different underprivileged communities. That we can relate to that music. We might not like the same artist, we might not say the same thing, but there are things that we can pull from those songs and really start to have a lot of different conversations about. And so, when it comes to making sure I play the music of my students, I always make sure I learn about their lyrics, or I even ask, questions about like, oh, hey, what did you mean when you said X, Y, and Z, or what happened in A, B, and C. So just really showing that I have a deeper interest, and as well as we always start the class with music, and then we always end the class with a little bit of music at the end too. So I'm very, very grateful for just the openness and the flexibility of what I'm able to do at Perry High School and for my students.
Yes, you better advocate for yourself. I mean, you better shout out your school and your students. I love it. I love it. And as you were talking, I was thinking about these cultural competencies, culturally relevant and sustaining education, and how that's like on the rise in a lot of words. I love how you described it in action. So there's 9 of them. So how and the first one is reflect on one's cultural lens. How do you bring yourself in there, like your own cultural lens? Now you told us a little bit, but how do you kind of reflect on your own life experiences.
Yeah.
You're planning, yeah.
So for me, I'm big into reflecting and sitting back and not thinking how I wish I could go back and change, but what I can do to make it better. Always thinking in like a future tense mind.
Mm.
Um, for me, it's trying to think too. It's more so like I think it started back when I was in college. When you go to school to be a music teacher, you're taught how to play all the instruments. You learn different styles of pedagogy. But when I went out to go observe other teachers, they were constantly talking about Beethoven, Mozart, Haydn. You know, nothing against those guys, but it's not the
Right,
end all be all
right.
to what music education is. And I broke it down to a student the one day on why people don't like what jazz sounds, and I'll break that down here shortly because it's a part of this question. Is that so? When you go to school, K to 12, you're taught the Western European style music theory, and so because here that jazz was created once again in New York, um, uh, you have a different type of tone sets, right? And so our ears aren't accustomed to that, which is why we as people don't naturally like jazz. Now, for me, growing up, I went to church. I played in churches on piano, trombone, guitar around the city of Pittsburgh, while being in high school, and as well as playing in different jazz clubs in the city. And I look at that experience, and I look at how at my high school, you know, we were what you went to school for, because with performing arts high school, you did that every single day. And so it allowed freedom to not just play your instrument, but also to collaborate with different artists in the school. And some of my colleagues have gone off to go to Juilliard. Some have won Grammys and Oscars. And so it's a different type of environment to be in. And so while I recognize that not all schools are like that, and it's very rare to have a school like that, what can I do to get students excited to go and be a part of a class? And I also like to remind myself that there are a lot of hidden African American figures here in the music history timeline that haven't been like brought to light. So I was very fortunate a couple of years ago to work with what is now the Burley Legacy Alliance, and how we can bring Harry T. Burley and his operatic style of music into more of a mainstream light, as well as working with Dr. Patrick Daly down at Tennessee State University and seeing all of what they're able to do with his music. And so there's just so many different like ways that we can incorporate who we are as individuals. Once you understand yourself, you understand your culture, you understand your purpose. It gives you a mission to find ways to add different snippets into the classroom. Like music, we can talk about in my music general music class. We talk about financial literacy, because how many times have you seen an artist who came from nothing get millions of dollars and then go broke the next year? We don't want that to happen. Once you make it, we want to show you how to sustain it. And I think that there are so many ways that we can just add different snippets of life, and that's why I love to teach too. There's just like you can add a lot of life into the music classroom.
Oh
So I
my
think
gosh.
I think that answered the question. I
Oh,
hope it did.
absolutely. It absolutely did. That is it, because that's what I say all the time. Like, if we want to have winning classrooms, I mean, if we want to have thriving lives, we've got to set the stage for a winning classroom. And what you just described, financial literacy, bridging gaps of like hit from history to modern day, and connecting and having opportunities, right? But there's a big opportunity gap, especially for our children who are historically marginalized, who don't have, like, bringing all of that into the classroom will help you to have a winning classroom. The winning classroom is that engagement, is making sure that everybody in that classroom is seen and heard, including the teacher, right? We're facilitating leaders. We're literally facilitating potential leaders, and actually many, not potential, I believe that we're all leading and educating somebody. We just need to do it excellently. We really do. And when we know better, we do better. You
Yeah.
are putting into the classroom um, experiences that your children will last for a lifetime. That will last for a lifetime. And so I honor you for that. I thank you for that work that you're doing. Keep up the good work. I want to knock down those negative narratives that they just don't want to learn. That's not true, that
Mhm.
they can't, that they're just bad, they might have a different style, and are we bringing that out of them? And I want to knock down the narrative the teachers are lazy and that they don't want to be in the class. It's not true.
Yeah.
There are better ways. And so let's get in harmony with, and I love this, I just love this type, getting in harmony in the classroom, but getting harmony with ourselves, with what is most important about like thriving lives. What is your thought? What are your thoughts on even, being in harmony in the classroom? And then we'll move on to your message and your mission.
Yeah, so when I think about harmony in the classroom, I literally had a quick flashback. When I was teaching out in Phoenix, Arizona, I had this amazing, all my classes were amazing, but I remember this fourth grade class. And it was the kind of class that, like, if I walked in, they're quiet. Not because I told them to, it's because they were ready. They wanted to know what was next. And for all my music friends out there listening, to kind of give you the level why I was so excited, I was able to teach like compound and complex rhythms in like 5/4 and 7/8 to like my fourth grade class, and so they're like, whoa, like this is super cool. So kind of reading it back, it was, I think about that class because there's just something special that happens when a teacher is in sync with the students and the
Mm.
students are in sync with the teacher. I mean, like they were ready for classroom activities. We could have sat and talked about music the entire time. What kind of music you liked, what kind of music you didn't like, but they were ready. And I even think about, when I worked in the Erie Public Schools, I was able to have a group of students. We would sing the national anthem at like baseball games. We were able to sing it at hockey games, and like just even them just taking that stage, and seeing. I smile because I remember those days a lot, and just seeing a group of middle schoolers singing in front of like hundreds of people for the first time and performing really really well. Um, and just also being able to relate with them. Like, I remember I had one student that say, like, I'm nervous too. And I'm like, don't worry, I am too. They're like, you're not showing. I was like, we've been practicing it and we're nervous because we care. And I just think that when it comes to having harmony in the classroom, it just takes time for you to, as a teacher, to figure out why you're passionate about what you're doing, how you can make sure that when you step through your school, it's not just a job, but it's a place that you want to inspire and continue to nurture your students, as well as making sure that you take care of who you are as a person. Because at the end of the day, you are a person too. You have a lot of life to live outside of school, but teaching truly is an art form, and as we're listening from different spaces and different places, I do encourage you all to think about that one teacher that you had that you were looking forward to having, because that was a teacher that was truly in sync of what their style of teaching was, but also made you engaged into the classroom. So I always try to remind myself is like, what ways can stay engaged? What can I do to get myself excited about being in the classroom?
As you were, let me come back to my face here. Okay, as you were talking, I was starting to think about that question I did ask you about, and you did share earlier that you went to Kappa, and also that you've had a teacher that really inspired you. I also went to Kappa. I don't know if you know that. I went
Yeah.
to Kappa too, and I was inspired. I think was it Miss Nichols? There was I was inspired by she was actually my choir teacher. I was so nervous. I love singing. I always sing, but she really taught us to have confidence and sing from our heart. And it was she was just so brilliant in the way she brought us all together. So I appreciate you sharing that story of like how you were vulnerable even with your children and like I'm nervous, and they felt that comfortable with you to say I'm nervous, and you're like I am too, but we're going to get through this. And I love that. I think that's beautiful. um Everything that we can go on for days. We're going to have you back because there's so much that you said is just that's just life changing, I believe, for our youth. And music just transcends so many things, so many places. So I love all that. And I'm gonna like your mission. Like, what are you doing now to impact others? You talked a little bit about it earlier. um and you talked about how your goal is helping students to enjoy music. And so everything you said today really is beautiful because music is really what can bring children to another level and everybody to another level. Talk a
Yeah.
little bit more about your mission.
So right now, my current mission is to just continue to help people. That is something that I love, that I'm able to do as a teacher, and whether it's help you through like some kind of drama that you're going to, as well as just trying to get you to understand what you're feeling and trying to find a song that relates to it. But then
Mhm.
also too, outside the classroom, like systematically, just trying to figure out ways that we can make education more equitable for our students, especially our students of color, because they are constantly are not given the same access and resources. And even while working at the different schools that I have in the short amount of time, I have seen the same issues across the country, like right in front of me. And so I think about that. And so now my current mission is to, number one, to continue to educate myself on different issues, whether it's culturally relevant pedagogy, what the student to president pipeline system is, why students feel unmotivated, like just different topics. Because I always feel like schools, like they have days where that they do have professional development, but it's always up to the educator to feel interested in whatever environment that is. Like, there's a reason why someone became a math teacher. There's a reason why someone became an English teacher, and there is a reason on why someone could be interested in a specific subject in a professional development session. So I try to continue to widen and knowledge, keep myself with a lot of knowledge as to what is wrong in schools. And there are so many things, but there are also a lot of people behind the scenes really working to try to make this change better, well, schools better for our students, and it just takes time. I'm seeing that education, when it comes to fixing things systematically, it takes time. If you add a year-long curriculum, you don't know how it's gonna turn out until the next year. So it just takes time to really sit back and trust the process, but also making sure that we have the right people to help change and to help influence what education is, the resources, as well as making sure our students are excited about going to school. I mean, we all can sit back and think about, when you were in high school, did you look forward to going to school? If you did, what was that teacher's name? Middle school, elementary school. I look back when I was in elementary school. I started playing the trombone in the third grade, and I remember just being excited to go have a 40-minute lesson once a week. So finding ways that we can continually um, show our students that they are great, that they have everything that they need inside of them to succeed, as well as making sure that we have the right people outside of the classroom to help make sure things inside the classroom can be better and more equitable for all of our students.
That is super powerful. Super powerful. I love it. Um, and I think you might have mentioned Dr. Robin Pickett,
Yeah.
that and Carl Jackson.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's the thing, guys. When we think about these names, who are the names that are coming up for you? Who are the names that are coming up for you that have impacted your life? And how are you impacting the lives of others who are looking up to you? And it's not about being perfect. It's not about doing everything a certain way. It's literally about building those relationships, is what I'm hearing a lot from you, Aaron, today. Building those relationships, making those connections, being vulnerable, studying. I appreciate you saying that. Take time to study, take time to see like what your resources are, who's around you, and figure out how you fit into that. Um, because you're right, it does take a lot of time. It does take time to make change, but I think that if we keep talking about it and not necessarily just taking the steps towards it, and that starts with us. I like that you said, let me educate myself.
Hmm.
Let me figure out what else I need to learn and know. And your children see that, our children see that, people see that, and even your platform. And because right now, like I know you're on a mission to impact others, um and but your message is so powerful. I'm going to put it up on the screen here, and you can speak to your message as we start to close out here. um but I love it because it talks about like, well, I'm gonna let you go ahead, talk to us about your message.
Yeah, so my mission, I'll just read it on the screen as it is. It says, we as educators are entrusted with teaching youth classroom skills and creating classrooms of communal learning. Um, when people would, like, one of the questions you ask someone's like, hey, like, who are your heroes? And I have several, but the one that I'll speak about in this one was actually Mr. Rogers. And I remember watching that show as a kid. And first of all, I didn't realize all of the life lessons that Mr. Rogers was really trying to teach us. It was amazing, like looking back. But he talked about, like, won't you be my neighbor, always treating your neighbors, well. And so I stopped seeing my classroom as like, all right, you have a student to your left, you have a student to your right. No, like, we are a family, just like the song says. And this is a community, so let's get to know each other, one another. But also too, let's make sure that we can respect. Like, my current classroom rules are: be respectful, be responsible, and be safe. And I feel like those three really do, like, that encompasses so much stuff. Be respectful to the people around you. I know sometimes traditionally people like to blast their music in their headphones. I tell my students, if I can hear your music, you got to turn it down for two reasons. Number one, as a music teacher, I feel like it's my job to tell you that you shouldn't listen to music that loud. And then number two, be respectful of the people around you. And so when it comes to creating that community environment, it just kind of goes back to some of the points I made earlier about making sure that my students know that I'm there for them, as well as making sure like students have like the little things that they need to make it through a day. It could be anything as making sure that they have just like a snack to eat. How many times has a student, come to school, or even someone out there listening is coming to school not having breakfast, like making sure I have just things in my classroom for my students to eat, or even at the end of the day. Uh, you know, Sometimes my students will catch me more so at the lunchtime if I want to put myself out there. But my students will see me leave the school and I walk over the corner store, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'll get a bag of hot Cheetos and a Turner's tea, and they see me walk back into school. They must tell you go to the corner store. It's like, yeah, I'm just like you. I get it. And so just trying to find ways that we can be more like ourselves and show more of ourselves to our students. That way they can know that we are, number one, we're human. Number two, that we have lives. Number three, that we have spaces that exist outside of our classroom. And then also, too, making sure that when I think about being entrusted to teach, I think that the greatest thing that someone can ever do is to share knowledge with somebody, because then that person's is changed forever. I remember a couple years ago, I was able to be a chaperone on a trip. It was called the Walking Black History Tour. We took a bus from Erie, Pennsylvania, with a group of students ranging from fifth grade all the way to 12th. And we went down to Tuskegee University. We went down to Howard and so many other schools in Montgomery, Alabama. And I remember being on Tuskegee University's campus, and there was an image of W.E.B. Du Bois pulling back what is called the shroud of ignorance off of someone else's vision, and allows them to see. I mean, just the ability to be able to read, the ability to be able to do math, and even at different complex, higher and complex forms, and the ability to share something that someone else didn't know. I think that if we were to take down all of the degrees, all of this and that we have as individuals, what can we share with each other based off of our experience? Like, how powerful would that be? Instead of with your friends sitting down and saying like, hey, like, let's write our skill sets down and let's try to figure out how we can help each other. I think that that is truly, truly, truly a powerful thing. So I constantly remind myself that as a teacher, that this is something not to take lightly, but also to enjoy yourself, because it is a great space that we get to be in, especially as Black educators, and making sure that our students know that there's someone that, number one, that has gone through challenges, trials, and tribulations, but has made it through, and someone that has went to college, so that way they know how to navigate that space, especially if they're a first generation high school graduate or a first generation college student, that we can share our experiences with them.
Yes, thank you. Powerful. What you shared, those three, be respectful. You said a lot of amazing and brilliant things here today, and I just want people to sit with that. Your message is loud and it's clear, and I appreciate the call to action, because that is a part of like educating with excellence, with culturally relevance, with equity. Um, but you said three very simplistic things today that I know that lots of schools use, lots of people use. Be respectful, be responsible, be safe. Those are your school rules. And as you were speaking, it made me think like, wow, that's actually what we need to hold ourselves accountable for. So when, like, your message that says we're entrusted with teaching youth, right? The
Mm-hmm.
skills that they need and creating that communal learning, we've got to be respectful to our culture and their cultures. We are responsible for, I heard you say, introducing knowledge and new opportunities and filling in gaps. and we've got to be safe and hold a safe environment. Come on, listen, this thing can teach and preach and everything. I felt that so deep. And we've got to be safe. We've got to hold their beautiful little lives in our hands and create something that you said communal learning. You create something that allows them to feel like they belong, allows them to feel like they can question, allows them to feel like they can learn free of the dominant culture of this is the right way versus these ways are in place. History, there are some terrible things that have happened, especially for our black and brown children. Do our children feel safe, period? Do our
Mhm.
children feel safe to break down these barriers after they're sitting in our classrooms and be the ones that advocate and say, no, we're not going to carry on systemic racism. We're not going to carry on, feeling isolated because the color of my skin or feeling like you're better. Like, we've got to be responsible. We've got to be like that's what that message said to me. Well, I don't know about you guys who are listening. And if you're listening on the replay, go ahead and write in the chat and in the comments, like, being responsible, being respectful, and being safe starts with us as educators. But I will say it also starts from the top,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
starts from the top because I'm an educator and I know where I wasn't in a safe space. I wasn't, people weren't being responsible with me. And I was an educator trying to, you know what I mean, do the work, and the conditions weren't set right.
Yeah.
Um, being responsible, being respectful. There wasn't respect for me as a black woman coming in here. I was like having to work 500 times harder. And you mentioned earlier, even as a black male, and you still persevere. Like, you don't see a lot of people like you. Oh my gosh, I could go on with this, but that's so powerful. We are entrusted with teaching our youth. We are entrusted with shifting this next generation away from the things and the barriers that have bound us for so long. And guess what? Music and arts to me has been one of the core things that gets neglected in the school systems at times.
Mhm.
But it's one of the things that can really save us from a lot of the scenarios that we are used to seeing. Mm. Any
I
words?
I would
Response?
say I agree with that. Like, I think that when we break it down to, like, you know, um, we can utilize arts. And number
Yeah,
one, art should be funded more in
come
schools.
on.
But like, we should utilize arts as places for safety for our students. Like, schools should have, and like, someone could take this idea. I'm all about sharing ideas. But like, schools should have an art therapy room. It doesn't matter, kindergarten, definitely for kindergarten, and like the young ones, they love to create and whatnot. But kindergartners all the way up to 12th grade. School should also have a music therapy room. They should have a safe space for de-escalation, not just a traditional empty classroom. Like, there are so many different ways that we can make schools more inviting, more engaging. But it really does start at the top. And sometimes I sit with myself and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, man, I'm just a music teacher. And I have to remind myself that I'm not. Like, I'm not just a music teacher. I'm a teacher that wants to advocate to make sure the students have safe spaces. But Robin, I will say, like, you gave me a very new way to think about my classroom rules, because as a teacher, I have my own set of rules outside of my classroom rules. But now you're making me like see how, wow, like, it makes me value the rules that I have in my classroom even more, because I always see rules as like these are guidelines. And like, if you were to draw it out, I would say, like, a tri-Venn diagram, something like that. You could see how there's so many different things that fit into each one of those categories. But in the center of that is make sure that we are ourselves, and making sure that our students see us as ourselves, because we're not just, that person in the school that teaches that subject. Like, so many of my colleagues this year have been able to travel, have been able to do amazing things in their field. And it's like, we are all of these things that we bring a plethora of experience into the classroom.
Yeah, I thank you for that. And yeah, we actually have a responsibility to be ourselves because children can spot fake,
Hmm.
like, they know it. They know when we're not authentic. They know when we don't really come to the table with intentions to really support and see them. But I will say, on the flip side of that, when we are ourselves, children feel more comfortable in being themselves. And so we want to leave you with that today, guys. There's so much that Aaron can share with you all. I believe that so much richness, especially arts educators. Like I don't know that you all always get love and out there as much love as you should. And it's like, oh, it's just music. Oh my gosh, I don't even understand. But me being a musician and arts, people are like, you should just go into teaching music. I'm like, no, I don't want to. But when I see arts educators like Aaron, it's like, wow, yes, that like kudos to you.
Thank
Kudos to you.
you.
And I love how you bring the things together to make a beautiful picture, to make a beautiful life, to make, and so thank you for that. Your mission for helping people people period, right, to enjoy music and to express themselves is just beautiful. Talk to us very quickly. Is there anything else that you would like to share for people to connect with you? We want to know how to connect with you. What do you have coming up? I mean, we don't want this to end without you all taking some action.
Yeah, so I would definitely say the number one way to connect with me is you can go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, check out the podcast. I have my email in the description. The email is blackeducatorstruth@gmail.com. I do check that. And so if you're interested, and I do invite people, if you're interested to, even potentially be a guest on, please send an email out. I'm always trying to find different stories, different lenses to learn through. And then up and coming events. June is a very busy month for me. As the school year ends, I have two amazing opportunities coming up. Next week, I will be down in Atlanta, Georgia. I will be talking about how we can start to dismantle the student to prison pipeline, and how zero tolerance policies really impact our students, especially our students of color, more than any other group. So I'll be talking about that at a conference. That's the Find Two conference in Atlanta. And then 2 days after that, I'm really looking forward to this. I'll be on a plane. I'll be able to go and do some research in Casablanca in Morocco for 2.5 weeks with 14 other educators. We're going to be exploring different topics. For me, I'm going to be analyzing hip hop in the Western African culture. So I'm really looking forward to that as an educator. Any kind of way that I get to learn more about my subject, but then also get to travel because I'm a big travel advocate. I'm always excited to that. And so that will be the start of the summer. And then looking forward to the future. I do want to give a special shout out. Perry High School, we will have our marching band back. So please, if you're in the Pittsburgh Public School area, come out and support us. Your support means a lot. And just looking forward to, the next things that are going to happen. And also, please check out the podcast. It really helps it grow. And once again, I do want to say, Robin, that I'm very grateful for being on today. Any kind of chance that we as educators get to highlight ourselves and to give us more exposure truly is, number one, it's a blessing. And two, it shows that each time that we are able to carve out spaces like this, like we are winning in our fields. And so I do just want to say thank you for allowing me to be on your platform today. And also, it was so amazing to have you on mine. I was able to re-listen to the episode, and it's just a beautiful thing to hear how there are other educators who are passionate about making sure that we have what we as educators need in our classroom. So I think that's all I have for you all today. But once again, this has been an amazing opportunity. And if you are wherever you're watching this from, if you're watching the replay, definitely share this with your friends and your colleagues. And just want to give a special shout out to number one, my mom and my dad. They are my biggest supporters. I wouldn't be here without them. And I do just want to give a special shout out to all the other educators that I've met. And I do want to give a shout out to my alphas, '06. I've met so many amazing educator alphas in my time, as well as other Black male educators, and it's just huge. And one more final shout out to, well, I have two more shout outs. I also want to shout out Teach Plus for just helping me learn how to advocate for my students both in and out of the classroom. And I can't thank anyone else but God. He gives me all the opportunities to do everything that I have been able to do. So I'm so grateful. And I know it's Monday night, and we didn't have school today, but I really am looking forward to getting back in the classroom with my students, even though we do have a couple days left, just making sure that we end everything on a good note. So thank you, Robin, for this space and this time. I really appreciate it.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. This was so dope. I love it. You better shout out. I love it. Listen, we have to let people know. Not a lot of people do say thank you, show their support. We come a long way, and we gotta come together. We there's so many people that, help push us forward, pray for us, push us, help to ignite our fire. And I am so excited about it. Thank you guys so much for listening. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of this little song here, because it says call to all, or I'm trying to do a little jingle, and I don't know. So I know, no, I'm joking, guys. I need you all to know that this show, this platform, let's call it this platform, is for people like Aaron. And I thank you so much for being here, for gracing our stage with all of the goodness, all of the brilliance. Okay. We are hosting Brilliance on a Monday, guys. Next Monday, I want you to come on out as well. June is going to be a little bit different. But we definitely, if you want to have Aaron back, please go ahead and put that in the chat. Go ahead and say yes, 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 yes,
I
because
will.
he's really good. And I would love it if we do some music stuff together, and we go ahead and go live and do some things, because I'm telling you, it's
Yes,
going
no,
to
I
be.
really wish, like, usually in my little office space, I have a piano to my right connected to, I just have a whole setup. Like, I just want to just, just play a piano. I'm always down to connect with someone, especially when it comes to music. Love making music. I feel like it's just such a beautiful way to connect with people.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, you guys heard it. We're gonna do some little fancy stuff this summer with the platforms. I really want to just kind of show some of these things that we're talking about in real time, in action. So I could say, come on now, we're hosting Brilliance on a Monday. Hosting Brilliance on a Monday. Brilliance right now.
Yes.
Just making stuff up as I go. But okay, guys, say bye to my guests. We're so glad to have you. We don't want it to end, but we're excited. We're so excited to have you. Listen, we have some claps and everything here. Let's go ahead and show some claps. Thank you.
Oh, hey, Marna.
Thank you for listening and watching. We have some yes, all of the goodness. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate you taking your time out. We're going to end, but we do want you to like, share, comment, and please tell somebody. Every Monday we're on. Please tell somebody to go check out Black Educators Truth, right?
Yes.
Guys, you don't want to miss. This is just all the goodness that, yeah, so many great things are coming up. So we're excited. We will talk to you later. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much for watching. We will talk to you soon.